Hey, it's James Follows Rights and Resources. Hashtag how I got custody. I want to explain a little bit about the last video that I posted. I kind of went off about dads not wanting to fight. And I cited an example of a father who his kids have been abused for months, or he found out about abuse months ago and didn't decide to do something until now. Now, if somebody calls me and they're in a jam and they don't know what to do and they haven't known what to do and they're trying to get some help the first time, or they're sick and tired of their attorney stifling them or whatever, that's one thing. Just so people are clear, I've said this before, I'm not looking to abuse people when they call up and talk about how bad they've been or how bad their cases sucked or how they haven't fought or done whatever. In this particular case, this dad was calling me for help after it had been 3 months that he found out from his kids and from a doctor that they were being abused. And then he had them for a while during the summer, which any common sense would have told anybody that and notice that I'm not naming anybody's names either. People get offended at my videos and they'll say, how dare you talk about us like this? Well, if you were fighting, I had one guy who said he fought for years for his kid and he said he won. He didn't clarify what that meant. That could have meant every other weekend and he was getting no visitation. But he comes on my page, how dare you shit on dads and talk bad about dads and stuff. Look, if you were fighting, I'm not talking about you. People are so quick they want to be offended. They want to be hurt in their feelings. If you're a dad who wants to fight, none of this should ruffle your feathers. But in this particular case, not only did the dad have the kids were being abused in July, then he had the kids for a while, then they didn't want to go to the mom. The guy calls me 3 months later and said, I have some great news. CPS investigate. I got some CPS help and, I'm going to try and change the parenting plan. So I call him up and we talk. And he wanted to talk to me for free because he had got my services in the past. And a lot of people love to do that. Oh, let me just call you and talk to you. Let me just send you a text here, there, everywhere, and ask you a quickie question, which takes 30 minutes to answer. I get that stuff all day long. I had like 10 text messages from people yesterday saying they wanted an appointment, they wanted my time, requesting time and stuff like that. And one person set an appointment out of that. That's what I'm dealing with all day is half-assers who don't want to fight. So you would get tired of seeing for 20 years dads being a bunch of sissies, cowards, and pussies and never following through. Just think you're a personal trainer and you had 100 people call you a day, or let's say 10 people a day, and say, I want to work out, I want to get a program, where do I sign up? And you start explaining and they hang up on you. And they call back and say, I never finished the call, or they're texting you. I probably give people too much access, I guess. Maybe I should have a calendar. You don't get any time with me unless you set an appointment and pay for the appointment. But I guess I would give people too much credit that people, if they actually want to fight, they will call and text me to set up an appointment. There's plenty of people who do that. They text me and say, hey, I need your help. When can we talk? And how do I pay you? And boom. I reply and they confirm and boom, we got an appointment. There's other people who text me 2 or 3 times in a day and then I answer them. And then they text me 2 or 3 days later. Then they text me again. Or people DM me and they wait 4 or 5 weeks and their kid is being abused. Like, why don't you just call me at the number that I have on every social media? People don't give a shit about their kids. If you're scared, then you would want to do something about your kids even though you're scared. If you're nervous about it, or if you don't know what you're doing and you see some answers and you reach out and say, I'm in desperate need of some help, and then you don't contact me for another 3 weeks. Oh, I was busy. I had a funeral and family reunion and I had a Christmas party at my job. That means you don't give a shit. So I call people out on the bullshit. But I'm not naming names or putting any address on here. Now, I did post a video the other day of a guy who called and said he was going to cross the country to hunt me down and told me to keep his name out of my mouth or off my page. When he came onto my page talking stupid shit about you should do this stuff for free and then men will grow some balls and won't be pussies anymore and will actually fight. So back to the guy. 3 months ago, he finds out the kids are being abused. He has the kids for a while. They don't want to go back to mom. He sends them back to the mom. Then on top of that, CPS investigates. He waits till CPS investigates. And then I asked him, do you have the papers for CPS? He said, they told me how to order it. I said, when did you find out they concluded their investigation? A month ago. Kids are being abused. He's got a CPS report. They told him a month ago how to get the actual copy of the report. He waits a month and then contacts me. The day that I find out my kid is getting abused is the same day that I'm finding out everything I could do to get into court and get an emergency order and do stuff right away. That's insane to me how passive and laid back guys are. If a neighbor slapped your kids around or hit them in the head with a belt or poked them in the eye, would you keep sending them over to that house for a sleepover or a slumber party? Would you keep doing that? But of course you wouldn't, especially as a man. You would never let your kids go back. You confront them, you'd call the police, or at the very least, you'd never send them back. But you will send them back to a mother who does stuff that you wouldn't tolerate from anybody else. You might not even tolerate from a cousin, uncle, or somebody in the family. But when mothers do it, we allow abuse. We allow them to have a child molesting boyfriend without us doing jack squat with no sense of urgency. Why do people not have a sense of urgency with this? They think, oh, well, that's the mother and the mother this, and I worship mothers, and I kiss mother rectum, and the mothers are the mothers, and then I bow down and worship motherhood, and the system loves mothers, and the system this and the system. Are you living your life off of what the system and the rest of the world thinks you should do with your life? Are you going out and getting the job that everybody else in the world is telling you to get? Or when you're at home alone, are you doing what everybody else outside of your home is telling you to do? Then why the hell, of course not, why the hell do you listen to society when it comes to actually growing some balls and fighting for your kid? On top of that, this guy worked with me several years ago. I should have been the first go-to that he called as soon as he found out. So he finds out the children are being abused. He just sits there and does nothing about it and enjoys the kids and then sends the kids back to the abuser. Then CPS is called. Then CPS investigates. Doesn't even call me during that. Say, hey, James, I got CPS investigating. I think I got a good case. Then after CPS says, we declare that the children are being abused, and then they advise him, you should go to court and go for full custody, he still waits a month to contact me. And then he says, James, CPS said, here's the paperwork, and here's how to do this, and here's how to do that. Dude, and this is a Washington case. I've been doing Washington for over 20 years in my own case and countless thousands of others. Why do you think you need to tell me what CPS says and advise you do? And that's not something I'm personally offended about. It's how are people so stupid that they think that, oh, now that CPS says that it's okay for me to go and fight for my kid, now I feel emboldened in my sissy little heart to actually grow some balls and want to fight for my kid now because CPS says it's okay. Are you living your life based on CPS? If your kids go drowning, are you going to say, hey, my kids are drowning. I just wanted to call CPS and let them know they're in danger. So I'm going to go back in the house, and if you could send somebody out sometime soon before they die. That's actually a great example of how insane this is. If CPS is your Lord and Savior, and you're such a CPS worshiper, and they're the source of all gospel truth, and you sit around and wait for CPS to do something before you take action to rescue your kids yourself, you wouldn't do that with a total stranger. You wouldn't do that with a neighbor. You wouldn't sit around and wait where your kids are getting abused at a slumber party. You would go nab them and bring them home. That would be like your kid drowning and you not doing anything. You could jump in the water, right? You're right there. Jump in the water and grab your kid. But you call CPS and wait for them to go do it. This is an epidemic, and a pandemic, an epidemic of a prevalent virus in society called pussyitis, and most men have it. And I don't understand it because when I was in your shoes and I didn't know what to do, I didn't know anything. I had a sense of urgency and got on the offensive and went to war for my kid. You should.